Hey guys, it's Adam Adams from the Creative Real Estate Lunch Club. And this last week we had Brad Hovis, who shared a lot of information on turnkey rentals. You're going to want to hear some of this information so you can invest this way. Without further ado, here we go.
My friend Brad, who I met, it's been 30 minutes at least that we've known each other? And Brad Hovis is going to talk to a topic near and dear to my heart because we do this, which is buy out-of-state rentals. And take it away, Brad. There you go.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Can you see this, or am I in? I've got to be in the way here. I was going to be. We'll stand right here. Hopefully, I'm not in the way. If I'm crowding your space, please let me know. All right. My name is Brad Hovis, and we'll get through this whole thing pretty quickly, I would imagine. I've got to commend this team. I mean, you guys, this is a pretty good-sized room, bunch of people. I notice a lot of people are talking about out of state. I'm going to tell you my entire story, why I've done what I'm doing, but I've got one major question that really you all need to answer to yourself, and that is, why are you here? There's a lot of other places to go to lunch. I know the Egg and I is wonderful and great, and a great staff, but there's a lot of other places that you could be right now. Why are you here? Like, why are you spending time right here? Many of you might be thinking that the reason you are here, let's see here. My clicker work. Oh, goodness gracious. Well, that's screwed up. That's PowerPoint for you. Anyway, we'll go on to the next thing. Some of you think that you're here because you're looking to buy or to learn how to buy rental property or buy real estate. If you think that you're here to buy real estate, I think that you're wrong. Okay? Because anybody can buy real estate. It's the same way you buy a ham sandwich or the meal that you're dealing with right now. You can buy real estate by getting money and buying it, exchanging it for somebody, right? You don't need to learn how to buy real estate. You already know how to buy real estate. You don't need to learn how to get a loan to buy real estate. You can go talk to Peter. You can go talk to the bank, right? That's not the reason you're here. You're not even here to learn how to figure out where to buy real estate, right? You can buy real estate from a realtor. Are there any realtors in the room? Raise your hand if you're a realtor. Go buy a house from them. I don't think the reason you're here is to learn how to buy real estate, learn how to get a loan, or learn where to find deals, or where to buy real estate. You're here to find out where you can buy deals, right? You're not looking for real estate, you're looking for deals. If you wanted to buy real estate, you could buy one tomorrow, right? You buy something this afternoon. What I'm here to do is help you find deals, okay? So, what do you want to know? In order to go find deals, you've got to figure out what you want real estate to be doing for you. Real estate can do a lot of stuff for you. It can help you save for college, right? It can help you supplement income. It can help you start a new career. Some of you mentioned that you're looking to get into a different career. Some of you are looking to diversify some investment strategies, retire, or supplement your retirement, right? Why are you doing? You got to dodge them around here. I'm on my toes. What do you want real estate to do for you? Do you want to build legacy? Do you want to get some cash flow? Why are you here? What do you want real estate to do for you? Okay, you got to answer those questions because I've got some bad news for you. You can't retire. You can't retire. The idea of retirement is likely not in most of the people in this room's future. Okay? If you're the average American, you can't retire. I'm thinking about writing a book on this. My definition of retirement is maintaining your lifestyle without working. Maintaining your lifestyle without working. The average American spends $4,700 on their monthly expenses. How many do you think, and that includes your house, entertainment, gas, car, all those kind of things. That's the average, according to, I think it's the Department of Labor statistics. This is a government cited number. How many of you think that's low, actually? 47. That's a little low. We live in Colorado. The cost of living is a little bit higher than that, right? I've got even worse news for you. The average retirement income, someone who's retiring right now, is only going to be making about $2,000 a month on average. Where do I get that information? Social Security. Do you know the average Social Security check right now is $1,404? That's the average Social Security check. So if you think that you're going to be retiring off of Social Security, you may want to reconsider your math. Okay. The average 60-year-old has $10,000 in their savings account right now. Now, I'm making some assumptions here that you're going to live for the next 20 years. Okay? How old are you? The right young age of 74?
74.
She's 74, right? So she's already gone 14 years, right? She's only got 6 left. I'm just kidding. All right? So I'm assuming in these numbers that you're going to live for another 20 years. All right? The average savings is only $10,000 in their bank account. Some people in this room don't have that much in your savings. Retirement plan, IRA, 401k, the average American has $172,000 in their bank account or in their retirement plan when they retire at 60. This is the average 60-year-old's retirement plan. So what does that mean? We've got a deficit. There's a $2,500 deficit for the average American. Okay. Now, if you want to get my PowerPoint so you can just sit and eat and observe whatever, I'll email it to you later. You just have to give me some, text me some information. Actually, text one of my sales guys your information, and we'll get this sent to you. So just sit back and relax. You can get this PowerPoint slide later. So the conclusion is, if you're the average American, you can't retire. And I want for that to sink in a little bit. By the way, here are all my sources. You can look at that. I want that to sink in a little bit. Many of you have different reasons for being inside of real estate, but I wonder, have you considered what your life would be like at retirement? Now let's take it a step further. What if you're unable to work? What if you're unable to go earn that income? Okay? What we're going to be talking about today is going to be helping solve this problem right here. Okay? Now, what kind of success are you seeing right now in Denver? I noticed a couple of people saying that they are some local fix and flippers. Okay, what kind of success are you seeing? Nationally, there's certain markets that are overpriced. Would you guys agree? Well, you may not agree. I think Denver's overpriced right now. Okay, I think it makes it very difficult based on our inventory levels, based on our purchase prices. Fixing and flipping is having a hard time right now in Denver. Years ago, it was easier. I flipped over 100 houses myself. Construction, whatever. Here in Denver, now it's a little bit more difficult. Anybody disagree with that? Okay. Competition for deals is at an all-time high, right? If you're trying to find deals off the MLS, good luck, right? While we were sitting here, on my way, I thought I had approved. I've got a rental property that I fixed up and I'm selling in Arvada. We just got it ready. We just got the listing ready on my way down here, and I was supposed to approve that the listing was accurate. Well, I guess my assistant did that because I was sitting here trying to approve the listing, and I already have 4 showings. It literally happened as I'm driving down here from Arvada. I've got 4 showings today at my property. It is getting very competitive, not only for owner-occupieds, but also for investors. Inventory in certain markets are low. Do you think Denver has low inventory? Now, I say certain markets because not every market is the same. In fact, we'll keep going. It's hard to enter the real estate investing world right now. How many of you are brand new? Raise your hand. If you're brand new to real estate investing, it's hard to enter it right now in this market. You're going to have a hard time. Sorry. Finish your meal, tip the waitress, time to leave. If you're dead set on investing in Denver, there is a fear of buying at the top, right? You ought to have that fear. You've got to develop some strategies that will be able to eliminate that fear. Because right now, I think if you're buying in Denver, you're buying at the top, and the liquidity pendulum has swung the other way. Since 2008, now in 2008, we didn't have hardly any liquidity right now. In 2008. Right now, there's tons of people giving loans. Peter's giving stated income, no doc loans, right?
With a 560
With
score.
a 560 score. That wasn't happening in 08, in 09, and 2010, right? Like, that was much more difficult. The liquidity in the market was sucked out in 2007, 2008, when we had our next crash, and that's what was one of the factors of the crash. Now what's happening, we got a bunch of liquidity. How many of you guys can get a bank loan? Raise your hand. You can get a bank loan right now. Same question several years ago. There were several people who couldn't, including myself. In 2008, I could not get a loan. I bought my first house I bought my first rental property in December of 2010. I started doing deals in 2008. I had $600 in the bank, below 600 credit score, and could not get a loan. Now I've done over $40 million. I bought over $40 million worth of property since then. But this is how the markets shift. The markets change. It's not your fault, it's the market's fault. Right? The fact that you can't get deals isn't your fault. It's the market's fault. It's your strategy's fault. It's something else. The market has shifted. So, what's the solution? What's the solution to the problem that all of us are facing in this room if we're real estate investors, where we can't get deals? Now we've got money, but we can't get deals. Before, what did we have? We had a whole bunch of deals, but we couldn't. We had a whole bunch of deals, but we couldn't get any money. This is how markets work. The pendulum shifts. Okay? I'm going to tell you the solution. It's very simple. Adjust or die. You got to adjust. You've got to shift. Okay? If you're still trying to fix and flip in Denver, you're foolish. I know and are friends with and went to the Super Bowl with all of the largest real estate investors here in Denver. None of them are fixing and flipping in Denver. None of them are buying rental properties. Now, the things that we are doing, we're scraping and building. That's where in my opinion, somebody asked me this, where's the opportunity here in Denver? The only opportunity, in my opinion, is to scrape and build. Okay? That's an advanced strategy. You got to have the right team in place. I'm scraping and building right now near Sloan's Lake, Berkeley, Sunnyside. We're looking at some other areas down closer to Inglewood off of South Broadway. But that's where the opportunity to make any kind of money in Denver right now. If not, what you're doing is you are speculating. You are not investing. You're buying and hoping that it continues to go up. That works every single time. Except the last time. Right? To speculate in real estate works every single time except the last time when the market adjusts and you're caught with your pants down. So, you have to adjust or you die. So here's our story. I liquidated $6 million worth of rental property last year here in Colorado. Now, I assumed that the presidential election was going to go a different way, okay? And I assumed that we would be in the crash right now. Our fundamentals from a financial standpoint have not changed, okay? And we see more. So in every crash, my business partner has written a book. In every crash that we've seen over the last several real estate crashes, there's one thing that precedes a real estate crash, and that's a stock market crash, okay? Because what does a stock market crash do? it sucks the liquidity out of the market. Therefore, you're unable to get the kind of loans to therefore then buy rental property or to buy property at all. And therefore, the supply and demand shifts, right? So every single one has preceded by a stock market crash and two other things. One, an administrative change. When you think back of all the crashes, you see a shift in the administration, and you also see a real estate specific act or law that has been passed that has changed the way we now currently do primarily lending. An example in this particular case is going to be Dodd-Frank. Dodd-Frank happened after the crash, right? And now, when we're seeing the benefits of it, we have a new administration and everything shifts. And now we've got to adjust. You have to adjust or die. So anyway, you can get his book and explain all that stuff. But I liquidated $6 million worth of rental properties last year at retail. It was pretty nice. So, why did I do it? Here's the reason. I wanted to preserve my capital. Equity isn't real. You can't eat equity. Just because your house is worth $400,000 and you owe $200,000 doesn't mean that difference of the equity of $200,000 is real unless you do one of two things. What, right? Unless you sell or you refinance, right? You've got to capitalize. You've got to liquidate some of that equity. Okay, so I wanted to preserve my capital. I wanted a return of my money. I want a return of my money. My money's got a job. It has a job. It's to go out, make some friends, and come back nice and safe. Right? And so my money had gone out, had made some friends, and now it's time to come back home. I also wanted to return on my money. I wanted a 2 or 3 times better cash flow, and I'm going to show you why we decided to do what we're doing, because that cash flow has increased going from Colorado to a different market. By the way, if you have any questions, we got Q&A at the end, but feel free to ask me questions whenever you want to. I figured out how much the backyard was costing me. Okay, plane tickets are cheap. Let me tell you a story. I owned a whole lot of rental property for several years, and I often did not visit those properties. Why? Because I've got other people looking at them. I've got general contractors. I've got handymen. I've got people looking at these properties. If you own rental property, I live in West Arvada, close to Ralston Valley. Okay, I own rental property in Southeast Aurora, and in Castle Rock, and in Parker. Right? Do I want to drive over there just look at some a rental property? No, I've got other things to do with my time. I didn't visit these properties very often. Somebody else did. It just wasn't me. So the idea of I've got to buy close to where I live so that I can visit them is asinine. If you've got one house, maybe. But if you're looking to build a investing business that then continues to pay for yourself and your lifestyle and cash flow, if you're looking to build something, you've got to have the systems in place to take care of it. Does that make sense? You're tracking with me? So I realized how much my backyard was costing me. I kept thinking, I want to be able to drive to my rental properties. I want to be able to drive to my projects. Why? A plane ticket is cheap. Think about this. If I had a fix and flip here in Colorado where I thought I was going to make 20, 30 grand, right? But I could go get other fix and flips in other markets where I can go get 40, 50 grand. And the only difference is I had to fly out there even every single week to go visit my fix and flips. How much does a plane ticket cost? $200, right? It's just math, guys. 200, 300, even $400. Let's even say I spent $500 for 10 weeks, every week, going out there and coming back, but I make an extra 20, 30 grand. That makes sense. Are you with me? Yeah, I get some miles, right? That's a good point. So I realized how much my backyard was costing me. Plane tickets are cheap. I wanted passive income to be truly passive. Let someone else handle it. I kind of mentioned this before. If you've got rental properties here in town, you may have a propensity to try to go visit those things. And is that thing passive now? No, that's active. If you've never owned rental property, you and have not set up the proper systems, rental property can become a active investment rather than the passive investment it should be. Right? So I forced myself, though I managed. I do the same thing here in Colorado that I do in other markets. I forced myself to develop the systems to make it passive. Okay. And I wanted to prepare for the next crash. See, cash is king, and I wanted to be ready. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do. Here's the strategy over the next 10 years for Brad Hovis and all my companies. I'm going to put my capital into a safe, cash-flowing market. Let the market let other markets appreciate or depreciate. Right? Wait till they depreciate. I'm going to exit my other safe markets and enter in an appreciating market like a Denver. I'm going to keep playing that game for the rest of my life, probably. That's the plan. Not difficult. It's not difficult, but it takes discipline. It takes the ability for you to say, this is where we're at. Let me make an adjustment. See what I mean? So, Rob Swanson is my business partner. He's the CEO of Real Estate From Anywhere. Real Estate From Anywhere is a real estate wholesale franchise that provides direct source to investors of income-producing properties, okay, nationwide. So if you're looking for discount income properties, we are a national franchise to help provide that for you. Rob's the CEO. He's been in the game over 20 years, invested in over 20 states, 30-something cities. He's the author of the book Cash In, What to Do Before, During, and After the Next Housing Market Crash. That's Rob. That's me. Like I said, I'm the COO. I'm co-founder and COO. I'm the one who makes it happen. I'm the one who operates the entire thing. And again, Real Estate From Anywhere is a real estate wholesale franchise that provides investors direct source to discount income properties nationwide. I've bought over $40 million worth of properties since 2008. Operated in 5 states, 15 different cities. And I'm a wholesaler, rehabber, builder, hard money lender, and hotel owner. So that's who I am. Any questions? No? Good. Our vision, I want to see families with real freedom. I know what real estate has done for the trajectory of my life, and I want to help other people's families get real freedom. I retired in 2013. My passive income was larger than my monthly expenses. Okay? That's the goal. For me, real estate is customizable. You can make it whatever you want to make it. You can decide that I want to retire on that. I want my passive income to be larger than my monthly expenses. I want for this to supplement income and keep doing what I'm doing. I want to save for college. I want to do whatever. Real estate is customizable. There's no right way to do real estate. There's a lot of wrong ways, but there's no right way to do real estate. Our mission, I want to help 1 million people start their path to financial freedom. Frankly, I've got 40 more people. If I can help start your path to financial freedom in real estate, that's why I accept these kind of things. Okay? Whether you buy a deal from me or not is immaterial. If I can say something to you that helps you get started or along your path, move you forward, I won. That's why I do what I do. I've been given much, so I like to give much. And if I can help you in any way, I'm going to give you my cell phone number. You guys will be able to call me anytime. Again, like I said, I've been given much. I like to give much. And our plan is to find and sell discounted houses to investors who want safe, comfortable returns that produce passive income. That's what we do nationwide. So, where we're going to go today, we're going to look at Memphis. Okay? we're going to look at Memphis. Memphis is an area that I'm heavily invested in right now, and I'm going to tell you where we're going for the rest of the time. I want you to understand the city and how it compares primarily to Denver. We're going to talk about how to protect your assets and prepare for the future. We're going to talk about proven strategies to increase your cash flow. I'm going to teach you how to build a team that works for you, okay? And I'm going to give you insider access to some superior deals. That's where we're going. Anybody ready to go?
Yes.
Let's do it. Let's compare Denver to Memphis. Denver is the average single-family rental property. Okay, rental property. I think is between $300,000 and $350,000. Anybody think that's a little low, or right in the range? I'm talking about rental property. The median household value, the median price of homes in Denver right now is over $500,000. Right? I'm not talking about I'm not talking about the median. I'm talking about the rental grade. Okay, this is your Southeast Aurora. This is your Commerce City. This is Montbello. This is everywhere. A, B, C. We'll get into that. Average rent $1,700 to $1,900 for rental grade single family houses. Probably getting up to $2,000.
The apartments are $2,400.
What's that?
Apartments are $2,400.
Some of them are. You're right. Not all of them. Southeast Aurora, you're not renting something for $2,400. Right? Depends on your location. I'm talking about single family. Might get up to $2,000. I did this 6 months ago. this presentation. So it might get up to $2,000. We'll go from there. There are two kinds of markets, generally speaking. So on a week in, week out basis, we've got some proprietary software in our office that tracks week to week over 7,000 cities and towns and 43,000 zip codes with investor activity, inventory levels, and price to rent ratios in low, mid, and high tier local markets all across the country. Okay. We have found that there are two broad types of markets. One, appreciating markets. These are markets that go up and they go down. So an appreciating market is like a Seattle, a Denver, a Las Vegas, a Phoenix, a San Diego. The market goes up and the market goes down. The other kind of market, besides an appreciating market, is a cash flow market. These are markets that don't really see the wild swings that we see. Okay, think about this, guys. I'm buying lots in Denver for $450,000, which is a deal, by the way. That just 5 years ago, someone bought for $100,000. Okay, that's a wild swing. That's a different kind of market, and I'm going to show you that the other markets, cash flowing markets, don't see that kind of adjustment. Okay. But Denver's an appreciating market. It's volatile. It goes up and down. Now, if using this number, you can buy it. First of all, there's not very many $300,000 houses out there anymore, right? What do you think the average rental price? $350, right around there. We'll go with this. $300 rents for $1,700. This is about 6 months ago. Okay. So for $300,000, I can go get $1,700 in monthly gross rent. We just agree on that one for now. Probably $350 to $2,000, but it is what it is. Let's talk about Memphis. The average single-family house rental property in Memphis is somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000.
Yep.
Okay. The average rent is between $700 and $1,000. Memphis is a cash flow market. It doesn't have the wild swings and up and down. Okay. It's stable and maintains its value. So, for the same $300,000, I can go buy one house in Denver and get $1,700 in rent. I can go get $4,200 in rent in Memphis. I can go buy 6 houses for the one house that I can buy here in Denver. Okay? This is knowing your markets, adjusting and pivoting when necessary. It's just like any contractors in the room. Anybody know how to work a toolbox? You use different tools for different things, right? Can you use a saw to hammer in a nail?
You can.
I guess you can, but that's not what it was designed and built for. Different markets are used with for different purposes. Okay? So, we'll talk about cash flowing market. Now, before I get into this, I got to educate some of you are new. I want to introduce you to a term we call TIM-V. This is known as rent costs. TIM-V is when we're talking about rental properties, when we account for the cost that it will be for every single rental property. These are the 5 fundamental costs every rental property has that most investors don't account for. Taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, vacancy. We didn't mention principal and interest if you got a loan on it. This is just if you own a property, you need to account for these costs. Okay? How we have decided to account for these costs is 30% off the rent. So if it rents for $1,000, we're going to take $300 off to account for TIM-V, taxes, insurance, management, maintenance, and vacancy, right off the top. Then if we get a loan, we've got to break that out as well. Okay? So some choose a higher percentage, some choose lower. Depends on what you're comfortable with, who you're having. Maybe your management is 0 because you're going to self-manage. Maybe your maintenance is a little bit cheaper because you're going to do all the work. I don't recommend any of that stuff, but you can choose that. Come up with your percentage. This is a back of the napkin type thing. This is how I'm able to go buy a house by looking at it online and say, yep, I'll take it. Because I have accounted for my TIM-V. I've made my decision. It's kind of like in blackjack, right? You're either going to hit on 16 or you're not going to hit on 16. You got to make a decision what you're going to be doing, okay? So we just found that over a period of time, 10 years, our average was lower than 30%. But use the calculation that works for you. Just remember to account for it. Many of you think that your cash flow is your rent minus your principal and your PITI payment. No, that's not your cash flow, right? If your rent is $1,000 and the principal, the PITI payment, your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance that you've got to pay to the bank every month is $700, you're not cash flowing $300. You're fooling yourself if you think that. Why? Because what aren't you accounting for, class? What aren't you? That's right. You're not accounting for management, vacancy, maintenance, and this is how you'll know if a house can afford itself if you account for the correct rent costs, also known as TIM-V. So here's an example: property rent for $1,000. If I've got a property rent for $1,000, I know that my net rent is going to be $700. And if I get a loan, my principal and interest is going to come out of that $700. Cool? So, how many of you guys want to see some case studies of some houses in Memphis?
I do.
Here we go. Here's a house on Memphis. Is on Old Hickory. This is in Whitehaven. It's a B-type neighborhood in the south of the city. We sold it to somebody for $75,000. It needed $29,000 worth of work, which we included all of our fees and everything, so he was all in $29,000. It actually appraised for $120,000. It's rented right now for $12.95. Actually, it's rented for $13.45 because they just got a dog, and we do a $50 dog fee. I could have done $500 because dog people will pay anything to keep their dog with them. So anyway, cap rate on this is going to be 10.5%. Okay. So now, but this guy decided. How many of you have? And then 10.5% is including the TIM-V. Okay, so we're taking all the rent costs out of there. You can do the math if you wanted to. In fact, let's do the math. Anybody got your calculators? Get your phones out. This is class time. Get your phones out. Go to your calculator. Go to your calculator. $12.95 times 0.7. Why am I doing 0.7? I'm taking that TIM-V out, right? So now that's my monthly net rent. What does that come to? $906.50. Now multiply by 12. 10,878. That is now my annual net rent, right? So over the course of the year, I should expect to make how much?
10,878.
Okay, now divide by, I gotta make sure I got my numbers right here. 104. Divide by $104,000. What does that come to? So it goes 104, what?
596.
So I guess we round it up to get to 10.5. That's how you figure out your cap rate. Cap rate is the capital that you put in. What kind of return will you get on an annual basis? Cap rate does not assume a loan. Okay? Cap rate is just capital. New guys, did you learn anything today so far? Good. All right. I'm hoping to teach you something. 10, that's a cap rate. This guy decided, though, wait a second, I got a really good appraisal on this thing. Let me get a loan on it. So what did he do? Our rent costs, that's our 30%. He got a loan at $554 a month. Okay? So he's got to pay that out of his net rent. So now his net rent, now that he's adding the principal interest, is $361. So he's cash flowing, this is his cash flow number, cash flowing $361 per month. Well, he wound up getting a loan for, what is that, $96,000. He left $8,000 in the deal. Why? Remember, he put 104 in, but then he got a loan for 96, right? 104 minus 96 is 8,000. So that's the cash that he left into the deal. He's not going to get any more. The lender's only going to give him 96,000. So what did he do? What kind of return is that? Okay, well, simple. It's a 54% cash on cash return. Not a cap rate, it's a cash on cash return. His cash is performing that way. Does that make sense? You're tracking with me? At the end of the day, he left $8,000 in, but he's getting $361 a month. Cool? Would anybody like a deal like that?
Yes.
To get 54, this is a tough crowd. Goodness gracious. To get 54% return on your money, right? That's not bad. $360 a month, and all you got to do is talk to Peter. So,
That market policy simply have to wait for it to do the cash out.
so his question was, how long do you have to wait before you can get your cash out? That's a seasoning question. Peter can answer some seasoning questions for you. However, this particular guy, he bought it. We did $29,000 worth of rehab, which takes about 6 weeks. $5,000 for every, or 1 week for every $5,000 that you spend. Okay. So he had 6 weeks there, but while he was doing it, he was prepping his appraisal, his lender and getting the appraisal and everything else. The 2 weeks after is when the appraisal came, so he had 4 weeks there, and then it took another 2 weeks after that to actually get his cash out. So it took this particular guy 2.5 months to get his cash back out. So we generally tell people bank on 3 to 6 months, because sometimes the appraisers don't cooperate, right? Sometimes things happen. Sometimes guys are slower. Sometimes our government changes lending requirements. Bunch of things. So we generally tell people bank on 3 to 6 months. Okay.
There is 90-day seasoning out there. To
Um,
reappraise those 90 days.
That's right. There's also we've got lenders who are doing the seasoning themselves. So these lenders will buy it and then season it and then sell it on the secondary market. So what happens on this particular case is he bought it, or this lender bought it, they seasoned it, and now they sold it off to Bank of America. Something like that in a big old package. All right, 54% isn't good enough. You guys are going to be real disappointed on this one. This is Tarkington. This is in Raleigh. This is northeast of the city. $68,000 what we sold it for. It didn't need any rehab. It was already occupied. Someone paying It appraised for $78,000. Someone is already paying $850. So this is a distressed. There's two kind of houses that we buy, and it's all coming down to one thing: distress. All I'm looking for is distress. I'm looking for either a distressed property or a distressed seller. This was a distressed seller. They needed money. They wanted to get out of it. They were done with it. Prints for $850. That's a 10.5 cap again. $850. We take out our TIMV. He got a loan for $354. He's cash flowing $240 a month. He wound up getting a loan for $62,000. He wound up leaving $5,600 in the bank or in the deal, so he left less money in. Okay, and his deal was only 51%. Boo-hoo. He gets his money back in 2 years. How many of you like to own a rental property where you have no money in it after 2 years? Yeah. That's pretty freaking good. But it gets better. This house on Bonwood, $47,000. What we sold it for? Again, a distressed landlord. It appraised for $65,000. It's rent for $750. That's a 13.4% cap rate. How are we able to get deals like this? Sometimes they're 10. We generally tell people get them right at 10, but occasionally there's someone who says, I've got to have money now. So you know who I'm looking for? I'm a wholesaler. I have to sell to cash buyers. Why? Because that seller says, I need to sell now. There's only 3 reasons why someone will sell at a discount. 1, they need cash. They need cash now, and they've got a property that needs a bunch of work. Sometimes I get 1 out of 3. Sometimes I get 2 out of 3. But when I get 3 out of 3, right, I can get really good deals that have to move really, really fast. And so you, a buyer, has to act quick. These are deals that can't get financed by Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is not going to lend on these deals. Peter will with his unsecured line of credit, right?
Sure, anytime.
Yeah. Peter will lend. He gives you a line of credit, right? What do you use? Use that line of credit to go buy this house and refinance it, pay back the line of credit, pull your cash out, make all your investors happy, right? Everybody involved with you. If you've got cash, you can play this game. If you don't have cash, and you go find someone with cash. Simple. Well, old Bonwood, we take out the 30%. He got a loan for it. He's cash flowing $229. The lowest of them all, $229. But what did he do? He was able to get a loan for $52,000. Wait a second. What did he buy it for? What did he buy it for?
47.
He got a loan for how much? So he made how much money on this deal? He took $5,000 in cash in his pocket, took it from the bank, put it in his pocket. Now, I didn't make it because he's got to pay it back, right, with interest and all that kind of stuff. But how many of you would like to buy a deal and put no money into it and get $5,000 stuck in your pocket and still cash flow $230 a month? If your hand isn't up, you need to leave. I'm sorry. I can't help you. You're wasting your time. So let's figure out this. He's got 0 money in because we look at the purchase and the rehab, which came to 47. He got a loan for 52. He put $5,000 into his bank. What's the return? Get your calculators out. What's the return when you put 0 money in but get money out? The return is infinite, right? The name of my first company was called the Infinity Group. All we wanted to do was infinite deals. We could do that in Colorado. We did that at 8th and Federal. We did that at DSW. We did that in North Aurora. We did that in Southeast Aurora. We did it in Thornton. I've done it in Broomfield. I did it all over the place when the market was really, really, really low. You think I'm getting any infinite deals here in Colorado? No. What kind of cap rates are you guys seeing? Cap rates are you guys seeing right now in Denver? 5, 4, 6, right? And then I had somebody tell me that his cap rate after he got a loan was going to be 8%. I go, well, that's not a cap rate then. It's a cash-on-cash return. Imagine using leverage, owing a bank, and getting 8% on it. I'm sitting here talking about 50, 60, 20, 30, 15%. Like 15%, that's good, right? So let me tell you, Memphis at a glance, it's 1.3 million people. Major industries are transportation and education. It's right there on the Mississippi. In fact, it's the largest city that's on the Mississippi. $70 billion in gross product. $80,000 is a median household income. $162,000 is a median home price. The median home price here in Colorado is $500. Our rental properties we're buying for $300 to $350. In Memphis, it's $162. Right? You're buying rental properties for $50 to $100. Does that mean? Unemployment's only 5%. Job growth 1.8%. The cost of living is 10% below the national average. You can look this up if you want to. Okay. The reason I showed this to you is a solid town. It's just a solid town. It's got a bunch of headquarters: FedEx, Nike, the franchising department for or franchising company for McDonald's is housed out of there. AutoZone, and of course, real estate from anywhere. We're in Memphis. Now, here's what I'm going to do. How much time do I have? Because I'll fly through this so I don't have much time. I've got 40 minutes. You guys are going to listen to me for 40? You guys are going to stick around for 40 minutes and listen to me? No. My man in the back's like, no, you got 10. So here's what we're going to do. My company is an expert at analyzing markets and sub-markets and neighborhoods in a market. We use two different methods. One is some technical analysis. Other is a subjective local analysis. And we merge these things together to come up with a grading system. A, B, C, D, and F, just like you were in school, right? Hopefully you weren't F students in school. But here is our, here's the market. What we're going to do, you can kind of see this area right here. Call it the loop, okay? It just loops around the city. What we're going to do is start in downtown. We're going to go outside the loop, and then we're going to go inside the loop. Now, before I get going, are you from Memphis? Do you know anything about Memphis? Do you know stuff about Memphis? Okay, because I keep hearing him, and I want to see how accurate I am. Okay? If I'm not, please tell me. However, I've showed this exact map to realtors, investors, wholesalers, title companies, people on the street, and people that work for us there, and they go, wow, this is pretty accurate. Okay. So let's start downtown. Now, downtown, we give it an NA because there's not very many single-family houses. I am a single-family house investor, and the reason I am is what I actually did last year. I want to be able to liquidate, okay? If you're getting into apartment buildings, if you're getting into condos, if you're getting into those kind of things, you have a limited audience for who you can sell the deal to, right? Who can you sell an apartment to? Another apartment building to? Another investor, right? What do investors want? Deals. So I'm limited to who I can sell my deal to. Single family house, who can I sell it to? I can sell it to investors, right? But I can also sell it to homeowners who can go get the worst loans our government continues to put out, FHA loans, right? 3.5% down. The second that they buy it, they can't sell it, right? They only put 3.5% down. They're already underwater the second that they buy it, and it's one of the reasons for the next crash. The next one that I can sell it to with that FHA buyer is worse than an FHA buyer, a VA buyer. Because he puts how much money down? Nothing. He is underwater the second he buys that house. What does that mean? I can sell it to him for more because he's not putting any money down. That's how this whole thing works. It just continues to cycle. And the more our government allows loans to be easier to get, which they just announced 2 weeks ago, right? The more we're going to continue to see up and down and up and down and up and down. Simple. Now, your job is to adjust or die. Those are your options. Okay, so we're going up to uptown here. This is north of the city. Now, this is a rough area right now, roughish area right now. It's similar to, and I'm going to be able to correlate some Denver stuff. It's similar to like north of City Park, right? Where 15 years ago, you wouldn't want to buy there. to live there, but now they're selling $500,000-$600,000 houses there, right? This is, so I'm going to make a statement to you. I'm going to make a statement, and people in Denver have a hard time listening to this. Memphis doesn't appreciate. I'm going to say it one more time. Memphis does not appreciate, and rents don't go up. And I'm going to prove it to you. Okay? So there's no appreciation in Denver, or there's no appreciation in Memphis. There's tons of appreciation in Denver. But I say that, and now I'm going to say, if there is an area where there could possibly be some appreciation, it's going to be in that uptown area. Okay? It's close to the city. It's close to an area called Midtown. We'll get to that in a second. It's across the highway from it. There's a chance that there is some appreciation, but it's going to be long in the future, and I don't know if it's even going to be there. So, that being said, that's an anomaly. Next, up in Fraser, north. This is a C- neighborhood, and how we do it, the C- is close to the loop, right? The closer you get to here, the worse of the neighborhood it is. The more north you get, the better it gets. So I'm saying C- because in this area, it's a C-, but up there it's going to be a C. This is going to be similar to Montbello, okay? Now, when I first got into real estate, people told me not to buy in Montbello, right? Oh, don't buy in Montbello. I've pulled millions of dollars out of Montbello. Okay? I talked to the realtors, and the realtors don't want to deal with Montbello because of the low pricing. They would much rather sell you a house in Highlands Ranch than in Montbello. Well, for us as investors, we want to go into Montbello. In fact, one of the things that we will do when we go into another market is ask a realtor, where is one area that you would never, ever, ever consider buying a house? And they list all of those areas, and that's where we go. Okay? Because the perception generally of local people is that an area is worse off than it really is from an investor's standpoint. Remember, we're wanting to make some cash flow. We want to make money on these deals. Okay? Now, part of our grading system that I failed to mention was A neighborhoods have more owner-occupants than tenants. B's are getting closer to 50-50. C's are 50-50. D's are more tenants than renters and lower crime than F. And F areas are mainly tenants with higher crime areas. Okay? That's one of the ways to think about it. So in Montbello, you've got a bunch of tenants, you've got a bunch of owners. Crime in Denver is not really anything, right? Not compared to Memphis, and I got stories for days in Memphis about crime. But this is what Fraser's like a Montbello. Are you tracking with me? Is that good? In between Fraser is a town called Raleigh. Between Fraser and Raleigh is an area called Raleigh-Fraser or Fraser-Raleigh. Okay, Raleigh-Fraser. The street actually changes name. It goes from Fraser Boulevard to Fraser-Raleigh Boulevard to. People from Fraser make sure they know you're not from Raleigh. People from Raleigh make sure they know they're not from Fraser. Okay, but if they're in the middle, they're Raleigh-Fraser. You know what I mean? This is going to be a solid C area. It's getting into a better area. Raleigh is like a B type area, and by that I mean you're talking about so Raleigh-Fraser is going to be certain parts of Lakewood, right? South Lakewood, certain parts of Inglewood. Okay, it's going to be a good area for rentals, right? But it's not going to be in that A. It's going to be like North Glen. Okay, these B areas are going to be like Arvada or Lake or Littleton, certain parts of the old Littleton. Are you feeling me? So I'm getting you a feel for the market here. As you go out to Bartlett is going to be a solid B neighborhood. Okay, it's going to be like Belmar. It's going to be like South Glen. Okay, it's going to be like Southeast Aurora, like Southlands. Are you with me on that? Okay. As you keep going east, there's an area called Wolf Chase. There's a military base over there. Wolf Chase is very similar to Colorado Springs, meaning there are military people who rent property, who buy property. That's a good thing and a bad thing. The good thing is those military people get transferred, right? And you can usually buy those houses at a pretty good discount. But the other problem is that the tenants leave because they get transferred to different army bases. It's like Wolf Chase. And that's Wolf Chase, kind of like Colorado Springs. Cordova as an A area, okay? You're talking about Highlands Ranch. You're talking about Broomfield. You're talking about, North Thornton, not Old Thornton, but North Thornton. Those kind of areas, right? Nice, big houses, more owner occupants that live there. Now, I want to tell you about Shelby Farms, okay? Shelby Farms is a large area that is very attractive that people want to live near. Similar to like a Central Park or a Wash Park or something like that. It's a area that people want to live near. Notice all the A areas, Cordova, Germantown, East Memphis, center around the park there. Now, it's much bigger. It's acres and acres and acres than Central Park. This is where they do a lot of festivals, a lot of community activity, a lot of things going on in Shelby Farms. There's lakes. You can go fishing there. It's very, or ponds, they can go fishing there, that kind of stuff. Germantown, A+ area. Now, I want to show you one thing. This road right here is called Poplar. Okay? Poplar goes into downtown, basically. It's similar to our Broadway. Okay? So Broadway starts downtown, or is downtown and goes all the way down south, right? Same with Poplar. This is, though, a little bit different in Memphis. This is where the money goes, because there's another area called Collierville that's off the map here. But this is where a lot of people want to live. We've got a fix and flip going on in Germantown. Okay. Parkway Village, right here. We call this the wedge. It's a kind of an internal thing for us. Right there, that's where we love to buy. You get a lot of brick ranches with basements. Not basements. You get a lot of brick ranches, 1,500 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. It's a solid B area. Okay, this is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful place to buy rental properties. Okay, down south, up here it's more traditional. Down here, it's more spread out. So you'll get into like, a third of an acre type thing. You're not on top of each other. I'll keep moving. Oakville, east of the airport, nice area. B. Whitehaven, that's where Graceland is. I guess if it's good enough for Elvis, it's good enough for me, right? This is the area that we're talking about is a really solid B neighborhood. That first one is in Whitehaven. Okay. Now, as you go north, you're going to get into South Memphis. South Memphis is the area where you get all of the negative crime. The negative crime perception of Memphis comes from South Memphis. South Memphis is an F neighborhood. A lot of crime, and it's more block by block. You got to have some serious local knowledge to be buying in South Memphis. I own houses in South Memphis that I paid $5,000 for. Put $20,000 into it, and it's rented for $800. Do the cap rate on that. We're talking about 25% cap rate. Okay, I'm not afraid to buy in an F neighborhood. I just know what I'm getting when I'm buying in an F neighborhood. Okay, now let's go in here, Midtown. Midtown is like Berkeley. It's like Sloan's Lake. It's re-gentrifying. They're scraping and building. I've got a fix and flip going on in Midtown as well. Okay, as we keep going around here. Binghamton, and you'll get all this stuff. I'll just send this to you. Is that fair? I think you got a good idea what's going on. Primarily, we're buying outside the loop, and then there's a few pockets inside the loop. Berkeley, highly Hispanic area. I love Berkeley. Tenants pay on time. I get no problems at all with them. Okay, so we'll move on. You'll get this. Just text me at the end, and you'll get the information. Go ahead.
Do you take into consideration school ratings when you're doing your market research?
We do.
Yeah.
Yep. School ratings, crime maps, occupancy levels, income levels, a lot of different things. It's a pretty good size aggregate.
What's the name of that software you mentioned that you use to do that analysis?
It's called True Market Ranking. We don't sell it anymore. We keep it in-house. Sorry. We used to sell it, but now we don't. So I'm going to give you an optical illusion. Here's an optical illusion about Memphis. it looks like it goes up and down, right? Looks like there was a dip. But when you think about it, we're in the low 800s, and then we get to the low 80s, high 60s. Okay, so I guess there was a little bit of a dip, right? Rent. Here's the rent. Rent went from at its peak $860 down to $840. $20 over the course of whatever many years. All right. Same thing with the price to rent ratio. Now here's where the optical illusion comes out. The top one is Denver. Okay. That's what Denver did over the last 10 years. That's what Memphis did. It's flat. Doesn't appreciate. There are markets like this all over the country that we have franchises in. Kansas City, Indianapolis, Jacksonville. Okay, we've got also markets in San Antonio, Dallas, St. Louis. We're all over the franchises out. One of our franchisees is operating in St. Louis, but we've got 7 different markets that we're currently franchising in. If you'd like to buy a franchise and start operating inside of our system, let me know. But we're now competing with the We Buy Good Houses guys. Okay, every McDonald's needs a Burger King, right? So anyway, that didn't go over. All right. So this is the market. It goes high and low, but Memphis stays the same. Let's look at the rent. What is going on in the rental market here in Denver? It's gone up. All right. In fact, if you look at it, it's like a stair step. Stays the same, goes up. Right? What does Memphis do? Nothing. Now, many of you be saying, well, why would I want to go and buy in a property in a market that doesn't appreciate, that the rents don't go up? Why would I want to do that? The reason is very simple. To preserve your capital so that when this one does the next dip, right, you exit here and re-enter there. Does that mean? Because what are you going to do if you buy a house? Now this is rent. Rent is going to go stay the same. But values are not. Now, history is our guide. You may have a different opinion. You could be right. I like to look at history to determine what's going to happen in the future. I have a feeling we're going for an adjustment. I know we're going to go for an adjustment. I just don't know when, right? But if you're already in it, it's too late. Does that mean? That's why I liquidated everything last year. Same thing with the price to rent ratio, or list price to the square footage ratio. Now, you may be asking, Brad, this is all great. You're telling me all about Memphis. You told me all about Denver. You told me what I can, what you expect me to do, what I can't do. Now what? How can I actually get involved? There's 3 services that we do. One, I'm a wholesaler. I buy properties at a discount and sell them at a discount. We are experts at targeting motivated, distressed sellers and properties. Our competitor likes to put billboards up, right? And park benches and all that kind of stuff. I like to hone in on a single family house. I like to look at an absentee owner who lives out of state, who's 65 years old, who has 50% worth of equity in her property, who just went through a code violation or an eviction process. And I get my sales guys to reach out to that person. I'm not looking for the masses. I'm looking for the individuals. That's the difference between us and our competitor. Okay, so we've been wholesaling deals to the We Buy the Houses guys for years. We've been wholesaling to the largest single-family home owner. This last one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and tell them I'm selling it to you for $129.
And the construction work is, you're doing the construction work, so there's no question about the rehab costs and everything else.
In fact, you saw that line item.
Right.
I'm a pro. In fact, I had you can appreciate this. A lot of lenders with their statement of work, they ask, hey, what's the statement of work? And they'll come in and say, $20,000 for the kitchen, $2,000 for the bathroom. You know, I'm a pro. I come in and I say, cabinets are going to cost this, countertops are going to cost this, appliances are going to cost this. Everything gets broken down.
And when you
And you're
do a
gonna get
hard
that
money
thing.
loan, that's the biggest problem we get, is they don't break down what they're spending their money on.